I left my teenage daughter to raise my new husband's kids while I went on my honeymoon, and I turned off my phone when she begged me to come back. Am I the bad guy? Before we continue, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications now because every day we have new stories. And tell us in the comments what city you're watching from. I'm 38 years old and have a 17-year-old daughter, Mariana. I separated from her father when she was 13. It was civilized, all things considered. There was no cheating or epic fights. Just two adults who understood they didn't love each other anymore. We tried to do it right. We shared custody for a while, but in the end he moved to another city for work and Mariana stayed with me. I had a part-time job, the rent, and a teenage girl who hated the silence of our empty house. The first few months were the hardest. Mariana cried at night. I did too, but in secret. We clung to each other like two castaways in the same boat. We cooked together, watched shows, fought over the music in the car. It was as if, despite the pain, we were learning to breathe again. And then Mateo appeared. I met him in a coffee shop. He was with two small children, and he dropped their juices on the floor. I went over to help, and we started talking. At first it was casual chats, then coffee, then dinner, and then, well, the usual. Mateo was 40, divorced. His wife had left him and moved abroad, leaving him in charge of their two sons, Dylan, 8, and Angel, 6. I saw in him someone broken like me. I thought that together we could lift ourselves up. After almost a year of dating, we decided to move in together. It seemed logical to us. We helped each other with expenses, the kids would keep each other company, and we could start over. We rented a bigger house, not too far from Mariana's school, and the 5 of us went to live under the same roof. The hardest part was telling Mariana. We sat down with her on a Saturday afternoon. I'd cooked her favorite pasta. I told her I had something important to tell her. Mariana looked at me, without stopping stirring her plate with her fork. I explained that Mateo and his sons would be moving in with us. That I knew it would be a big change. That no one was asking her to love them like brothers, but to respect them. That we'd be a family, a team. She didn't say anything at first, just asked, "What does that mean for me?" I told her that things would change a bit, that now there'd be more responsibilities, that Mateo and I worked and sometimes she could help with the kids, take them to school, heat up some food for them, maybe check their homework if I wasn't there. Simple things. She looked at me, as if she didn't recognize me. Are you asking me to watch them? It's not watching, I said. It's helping each other. It's being a part of it. She put down her fork. And if I don't want to, Mariana, it's not optional. You can't live as if everything's the same. This is part of growing up. You're 15. You're not a little girl anymore. I remember she got up from the table without finishing her food. She told me those kids weren't her family, that she didn't have to be a babysitter, that her dad already sent me money. That last sentence cut deep. I told her that as long as she lived with me under my roof, she was part of this new family, that we all had to do our part, that I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And I meant it. At first it was small things, setting the table, picking up toys. Then it was helping the kids with their backpacks, waiting for Dylan at the school gate, heating up soup for them if I was running late. Little by little, Mariana started doing everything I did, just at 15 years old, without having asked for it. And I convinced myself she was learning values, responsibility, maturity. I justified it by telling myself it was just for now, that when things stabilized, everything would be fairer, more balanced, that life was like that. Mariana didn't complain all the time. Sometimes she did. Sometimes she'd leave blunt notes on the table. I can't pick up Dylan today. I have homework. Or, Angel wet himself again. And other times, she just didn't say anything, but her eyes spoke. I chose not to look. What hurt me most was when she started locking herself in her room as soon as she got home from school. She'd put on her headphones, close the door. Her world and mine became parallel lines. One night, I found a handwritten page on her desk. It wasn't a diary, it was more like a list. Things I don't want to do. Cook for others, watch other people's kids, lie to my mom. When I feel bad, pretend everything's fine, act like an adult. When nobody asked me to, I didn't tell her about it. I folded the paper and put it in my drawer. I thought that with time everything would get better. I thought one day she'd thank me for teaching her what real life means. I thought she just needed to get used to it, like I got used to everything, to living with less, to giving up myself. But I was wrong because while I thought I was showing her the way, Mariana was living it like a prison built with silences, dirty dishes, and favors that stopped being favors and became expectations. It didn't matter how much Mariana did, there was always something more. If she didn't help with Dylan's homework, she had to make them a snack. If she didn't do that, then she should at least wash the dishes. And if she didn't wash them, well, then she must be in a bad mood because of teenage stuff. That's what Mateo would say. She must be on her period. That age is complicated. At least she's not like mine who scream all day. And I'd smile, or at least pretend to. The routine became a kind of prison. I'd leave early, work until the afternoon. Mateo, too. Mariana would leave school, pick up the boys, make them something to eat, try to get them to do their homework, put the TV on to calm them down. Sometimes she'd put them to sleep, sometimes she couldn't and they'd just cry. Sometimes all three of them would cry. One time I came home early from work and found them all in the dining room. Dylan was kicking a chair. Angel was crying with a plate of rice in his hand, and Mariana was sitting on the floor with her eyes closed, clenching her fists. She didn't say anything, just got up, greeted me with a mechanical hello, and went up to her room. She closed the door. Period. That night I told Mateo we had to do something, that Mariana was tense, that she wasn't sleeping well. He just shrugged. She's always been this intense, right? Ever since I met her, she makes that face like the world owes her something. She's a teenager. She's tired. We ask a lot of her. We don't ask that much. At her age, I was already working at a hardware store. She's lucky. I didn't say anything, but something moved inside me. A few days later, something worse happened. Mateo had to leave at the last minute. He called me from work saying he couldn't pick up the boys. I couldn't leave either. Mariana, as always, went to get them. That afternoon, when I got home, I found Angel crying on the couch. Mariana was in the kitchen wetting a towel. She had a small cut on her leg. It wasn't bleeding much, but the skin was scraped. What happened? I asked her. Dylan pushed me. I told him he couldn't eat on the sofa, and he got angry. He threw the remote at me and pushed me. Did he hurt you? It's nothing, she said. I'm fine. But she wasn't. Not that day, or any other. That night we argued. She told me she couldn't take it anymore, that Dylan was violent, that Angel was dependent, that Mateo didn't respect her, that I didn't listen to her, that she felt invisible, and there I made a mistake. I told her that maybe she was exaggerating, that I was exhausted too, that we all had to give a little, that if she gave up, everything would fall apart. I'm not part of this family, Mom, she told me with her eyes full of tears. I'm just the invisible nanny of your new life. I wanted to hug her, but she left. From that day on, she stopped talking to me more than necessary. Time passed. Mateo and I continued with the wedding plans. We were saving up what we could. Only then did we start talking about the honeymoon, Europe, a cruise, a trip we dreamed of since we met. Mariana barely reacted when I mentioned it to her. She just said, "Good for you." That was it. One night, I went into her room to leave some clean clothes. She wasn't there. On the desk, I saw a piece of paper. Another one. It wasn't a list. This time it was a letter. It didn't start with Mom or Hi. It just said, "I'm losing myself. I feel like every day I'm less me and more of a shadow. Nobody sees me. Nobody asks me if I'm okay. I don't want to be forced to grow up. I don't want to take care of other people's children. I don't want to feel so alone when I'm surrounded by people. If I break, it's not the boys' fault. It's because you don't defend me from them." I was frozen. I didn't give it back to her. I didn't mention it to her. I folded it and put it away like I did with the previous one. As if putting away painful things was a way to stop them from hurting. And yes, I know how it sounds. I know someone will read this and say I'm selfish, but I'm also human. I was tired, exhausted. I wanted Mariana to understand that I wasn't a witch, that I was just doing my best to rebuild something, to not sink again. And deep down I told myself, it'll pass. She'll get used to it. Mateo started talking to me about saving for the ring, for the tickets. He talked to me about Barcelona, about Rome, and I'd smile, but every time I thought about the trip that phrase came to my mind, I don't want to be forced to grow up, and still I did nothing. Mariana never mentioned the letter again. Neither did I. We kept functioning like a machine with poorly fitted parts, sounding weird, but still running. Until one day she told me without looking at me, "Did you know I have my final exam right when you guys are leaving?" "What exam?" "The one that decides if I get the scholarship or not." I nodded. I told her we'd see how to organize everything, that anything's possible if there's a will. She didn't answer, just went to her room, closed the door. And that's when I realized I wasn't living with my daughter anymore. I was living with someone who'd learned to survive by meeting expectations she never chose. Sometimes I wonder how many of my own I imposed on Mariana without realizing it. I wanted a strong daughter who knew how to face the world, who wouldn't break at the first obstacle, who understood that life isn't always fair, but you keep going. And she did. Only now I realize she didn't do it out of conviction, but out of exhaustion. When Mateo and I finally set the wedding date, everything seemed to be going well. Mariana showed no objection at all, just limited herself to saying, okay. She didn't ask to go shopping, didn't ask about the dress, didn't make any comments when we hung the invitations on the fridge. She was disconnected. I told myself it was adolescence, that maybe she was jealous or didn't want to show enthusiasm, that she'd get over it. It wasn't a big wedding. It was us, a few friends, and close family. Mariana sat the whole time with a neutral face, as if she were watching a movie without sound. She didn't pose for photos, didn't toast with us. I tried not to pay too much attention to her. I told myself it was my day, that I deserved it. What we never told her, at least not until after, was that Mateo and I had booked a honeymoon or a cruise. 10 days. Europe. We told her on the living room couch 2 days after the wedding. She was reading with headphones on. We asked her to take them off. "We're going to take a little trip." I started. "Where to?" "A cruise through Europe." "Honeymoon." "Nothing. Too fancy." "You know." Mateo smiled as if he were talking to a colleague. She frowned. "And you're taking me?" "Well, not exactly," I said. "You're going to stay here. It won't be for that long. A week and a half. And the boys with you. Who better to look after them than their big sister?" That sentence was a mistake. I saw her blink. Once. Twice. Then she put the book on the table. "No, I can't." "What do you mean you can't?" "I have exams. They're finals. The scholarship is on the line. I can't take care of them, Mom. I can't. It's only a week and a half. They're 2 little creatures. They drive me crazy. They don't listen to me. They insult me. They throw things at me. You're not here. Mateo's not here. And on top of that, you want me to study with them crying behind me." Mateo got tense. "Don't exaggerate. They're children. Sometimes they make a mess, but you handle them well." "I don't handle them well, because I'm not their nanny. I'm not their mother." "We know that already." I jumped in. "But you are part of this family, and this family needs everyone to cooperate. We're just asking you this one time." "No," she said with her eyes shining with contained rage. "It's not this one time. It's been every time. Since they arrived, since you decided your happiness was more important than mine. That hurt me." I got up from the couch. "And what do you want? For me to stay bitter my whole life? To never be happy again? I'm asking for 10 days. 10. Don't tell me you can't when you do it all the time." "Because you leave me no choice," she replied. "Because if I say no, you make me feel like a burden, like I'm a bad daughter. But this time I can't." And I asked, "Does anyone ever ask how I am?" Mateo intervened. "Mariana, please, let's not make a scene. We need this. A break, a reset. We thought with everything you've done you could support us one last time." "One last time? Really? You think it's going to be the last?" Her voice broke. "What's next? Taking care of their lunches, taking them to the doctor, enrolling them in school?" I just wanted to cry, but I couldn't. Not in front of her. "You're not seeing it," I said like a sentence. "This isn't just about you, it's about everyone, about Mateo, about me, about us as a family." Mariana stood up. "Then, find yourselves another daughter, because I've had enough." "What are you saying?" "That if you go, I'm going too." "With who?" With Dad. I have a few months until I'm 18. I don't have to stay here putting up with this. Mateo stood up too. His face no longer showed a smile. You know what? You're acting like a selfish brat. If you just shut your mouth and behave, this would be much easier for everyone.
For you, for this family.
This isn't a family, Mariana said. This is your family, you, Mateo, and his sons. I'm just the unpaid employee. It was like a gunshot. I don't remember what else we yelled. I know I told her that if she left she'd regret it, that I'd never speak to her again, that she was breaking my heart, that she didn't understand anything. And the worst part is that as I was saying it, a part of me really believed that she was the one who was wrong. 2 days later we left. We left the kids with Mariana. I turned off my cell phone. Mateo too. It was his idea. This way she can't manipulate us, he said. And I nodded because at that moment I thought he was right, that we weren't doing anything wrong, that Mariana was exaggerating, that we needed that break as much as air. The cruise was beautiful. Everything was exactly as we'd imagined during those 2 years of saving and sacrificing. The endless sea, the quiet dinners, the feeling of not having to run after anyone. Mateo was relaxed, even affectionate. He held my hand, told me that we were finally starting over. I smiled, but not completely. The first night, I checked my phone out of habit. There were 2 missed calls from Mariana. I looked at the screen for a few seconds. I thought about calling her back. Then I remembered what Mateo had said. If you answer, she'll make a scene. He'd warned me. She has to learn, she can't always get her way. I turned off the phone. The next day, the same thing. More calls. Short messages. Can you call me? Mom, please. I felt a pressure in my chest, but I pushed it down. I convinced myself that if something really serious was happening, she'd call her father, that she wasn't a helpless little girl, that she was exaggerating to make us feel guilty. The days went by like that. Mateo talked about how well Mariana would behave when we got back. He said this would serve as a lesson for her, that she'd understand she couldn't always say no. I nodded, although something inside me was starting to crack. The last night of the trip I couldn't take it anymore. I turned on my cell phone. There were more than 30 missed calls, audios, long messages, screenshots, photos. One image made my blood run cold. The messy living room, a broken glass on the floor, the stained table. Another showed Mariana's reddened hand with a small mark on her wrist. The last message said, "That's it, I can't anymore." I tried to call her. She didn't answer. The flight back was silent. Mateo slept. I stared at the back of the seat in front of me with my stomach churning. I thought about all the times I'd chosen not to listen, all the times I'd thought later. When we opened the door of the house, I knew it instantly. No one was there. The silence wasn't normal. It wasn't the silence of a tidy house. It was a heavy silence, as if something had been torn out by the roots. The dishes were still in the sink, a backpack thrown on the floor. The broken glass was still there, intact like evidence. Mateo started shouting his sons' names. He ran up and down the stairs desperately. I dialed Mariana's number with trembling hands. She answered on the 4th try. "Where are you?" I asked bluntly. "With Dad." "And the boys?" There was a pause. "They're not with me." "What do you mean they're not with you? Where are they?" "In a temporary protection center." I felt the floor open up. "What did you do?" "I called CPS." I didn't want to believe it. I thought it was a threat, another exaggeration. "Mariana, are you serious?" "Yes." "I tried to call you many times. You didn't answer." The boys fought. Dylan broke a chair. Angel wouldn't stop crying. They pushed me. I got scared. I couldn't study. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't take it anymore. "I'm not their mother." Mateo snatched the phone from my hand. "What did you do?" He yelled at her. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Yes," she replied firmly. I protected myself. She hung up. We went straight to CPS. The social worker looked at us with a mix of exhaustion and disapproval. She explained that the children were safe, but there were clear signs of neglect, that we'd left a minor in charge of 2 young children without adult supervision, without answering calls, without a backup plan. Your daughter showed us messages, audios, and a letter.
She said.
What letter?
I asked.
She pulled out a copy. It was the one I'd saved, the one I never read aloud, the one I pretended didn't exist. Mateo started shouting, demanding, saying it was all a misunderstanding, that Mariana was confrontational, that she always exaggerated. The agent looked at him steadily. Your daughter said something very clearly, she said. She said that for the first time in a long time, she feels safe. That was the word the CPS agent repeated, as if she wanted to hammer it into my head. Your daughter said that for the first time in a long time, she feels safe. Mateo laughed. A dry, humorless, dangerous laugh. Of course. Now it turns out we're the villains. Sir, said the agent, your behavior isn't helping. We left there without the children, without answers, without control. Mateo drove as if the street owed him something. He hit the steering wheel, muttered insults, repeated that Mariana had exaggerated everything, that she'd set a trap for us, that this wasn't going to be the end of it. I looked out the window with my head buzzing. Watching houses pass by, that meant nothing to me. We have to go get her, he said suddenly. This gets sorted out today. Mateo, that's not a good idea. It's my life that's at stake. He interrupted me. Or are you going to take her side now too? I didn't answer. And that was enough. We went to my ex-husband's house. The drive seemed endless. A part of me wanted Mariana not to be there. Another needed to see her. I needed her to look at me and understand that this had gotten out of our hands. I knocked on the door. She opened it. Mariana was different. Not just thinner, firmer, more grounded. There was no fear in her face, just exhaustion. What are you doing here? We need to talk, I said. This has escalated too much. I'm not coming back, she replied without hesitation. I already told you. You don't decide that alone. Mateo jumped in, taking a step forward. You're a minor. I'm with my dad. That doesn't matter. You called CPS. Do you have any idea what you've done? Yes, she said. I asked for help. Mateo lost control. He grabbed her arm hard. It wasn't a passing gesture of anger. It was a determined, violent grip. You're coming with me now, he yelled at her. You're going to CPS, and you're going to say you lied, that it was an exaggeration, a stupid thing you did. Let me go, Mariana shouted, struggling. Mateo, stop. I yelled, panicking. You're hurting her. It's your fault, you stupid girl, he yelled at her. It's your fault they're going to take my kids away. If you'd just shut your mouth and obeyed like always. And then it all happened at the same time. Mariana's father appeared from the hallway like lightning. He didn't shout, didn't warn. He just punched Mateo straight, a dry, brutal punch. Mateo fell backwards, hitting the table. The punch echoed through the whole house. Don't you ever touch her again, he roared. Ever again. Mariana broke free and backed away until she was behind her father. I stood there paralyzed with my heart about to beat out of my chest. Mateo got up staggering, with a split lip and eyes full of rage. This is assault, he shouted. I'm going to report you. Both of you. You hear me? Both of you. Call whoever you want, my ex replied. You're not getting near my daughter again. She ruined my life. Mateo spat. If she wasn't so useless, none of this would be happening. I felt a void in my stomach. Mateo, I said, almost voiceless. He looked at me, and for the first time I didn't see the man I'd married. I saw someone who needed to control everything, someone who couldn't stand to lose. And what are you looking at? He yelled at me. This all started because you never knew how to put her in her place. Mariana spoke. Then her voice didn't tremble. Don't you ever say I'm your daughter again, she said. Because you never defended me. You never protected me. And today you made that clear. It wasn't a scream. It was worse. It was a sentence. My ex took out his cell phone. If you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police. Mateo wanted to say something more, but I grabbed his arm and pushed him towards the door. We left the house in silence. The car smelled of blood and rage. Mateo breathed heavily, muttering legal threats, lawsuits, revenge. I couldn't stop thinking about Mariana's face. Not of anger, of relief. Relief because for the first time someone had stood between her and us. And in that moment, I understood something that broke me inside. I didn't lose her when she called CPS. I didn't lose her when she left home. I lost her when I stopped seeing her as my daughter. I haven't seen her since that night. She didn't call me. She didn't answer my messages. Her father made it clear, in a single cold and measured audio, that Mariana didn't want contact with me for the time being.
She's fine, he said.
She's calm, and for the first time in years, she's sleeping. I'm not. The following days were a mix of calls, paperwork, and uncomfortable silences. CPS continued with the investigation. They summoned us 2 more times. Each meeting was worse than the last. The long stares, the uncomfortable questions, the neutral tone that fools no one. Why did you leave a minor in charge of 2 children for over a week? Why didn't you answer the phone? Why was there no alternative adult designated? Mateo answered with contained anger. I with long explanations that sounded more and more empty, even to me. I repeated that Mariana was mature, that she was almost an adult, that it wasn't abandonment, that it was a misinterpreted family decision. I don't know if they believed me. I wasn't sure I believed myself anymore. The children were still in temporary foster care. Mateo could see them once a week, supervised. He'd come back from those visits destroyed. He didn't talk. He'd sit on the couch and stare at the wall for hours. Other times he'd explode. She did this, he'd repeat. That girl ruined our lives. At first I contradicted him. Then I stopped. Not because I agreed, but because I was tired, empty. I didn't even have the strength to argue. I tried to contact Mariana one last time. I wrote her a long message, not of reproach, not of demand. A sincere one, or at least I wanted to believe it was. I told her I was sorry, that I never wanted to hurt her, that I just wanted a bit of happiness after so many difficult years, that maybe I was wrong, but that I'm also human. She read it, didn't reply. I called my mother, an aunt, a cousin. I thought maybe someone could intercede, convince her to talk to me, even if it was just to yell at me. But give her space, they told me. What you did was too much. Too much. That word haunts me now. Mateo started sleeping on the couch. He says he can't be in the bedroom, that everything reminds him of what he lost. One night, after drinking more than he should have, he told me something I haven't been able to get out of my head. If we lose the kids, I don't know if I'll be able to look at you without remembering this. I didn't answer. Maybe because deep down I thought the same thing. The house is silent. A different silence than before. It's not empty, it's final. On the refrigerator door, there's still the last note Mariana left. I found it days later, when everything had already exploded. Don't wait up for me. I'm leaving so I don't disappear completely. I read it every day as if doing so could change something. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd answered one of those calls, if I hadn't turned off the phone, if I'd read the letter when there was still time, if I'd chosen to listen instead of insist. But those questions are useless. The truth is that even now there's a part of me that defends itself, that shuts down, that whispers it was only a week and a half. That Mariana was almost an adult, that it wasn't that big a deal, that other girls go through worse things, that I deserve to be happy too. And when I hear myself think that, I understand why she left. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me. I don't know if CPS will return the children. I don't know if my marriage will survive this. The only thing I know is that when I look back, I no longer see a series of bad decisions. I see a pattern, that of a woman who put her happiness above everything, even when it meant losing her daughter, and who now, sitting in a house that's too big and too quiet, tries to convince herself that it wasn't that serious. Maybe that's why I'm writing this, not to be absolved, not for you to feel sorry for me, but because I need to say it out loud, even if it hurts. I just wanted to be happy for a moment, and I lost something I'll never get back. Comment 1. Not only did you leave your daughter in charge of 2 children who weren't her responsibility, but you turned off the phone. That's not needing a break. That's abandonment. Comment 2. Your daughter wasn't a nanny. She was an emotionally exploited minor. The worst part is you keep justifying it. That makes you an accomplice. OP's reply. I'm not exploiting her. Mariana helped me with things because she wanted to, Nobody forced her. I just asked her to help us for a couple of days. I also don't imagine being called an accomplice for that.
Commentary.
Mateo grabbing her arm is enough to understand why she called CPS.
And you keep justifying it.
That makes you an accomplice. OP's reply: Mateo was out of his mind with fear of losing his sons. I don't justify him grabbing her, but it was a moment of extreme tension.
He's not a bad person.
Comment 4. You're not a tired mother. You're a mother who chose a man over her daughter and now wants Reddit to make her feel better. Comment 5. It was only a week and a half. It doesn't matter. It could have been 24 hours. Turning off your phone while leaving a minor in charge is negligence. Comment 6. Your daughter told you clearly she couldn't. She left you letters, she called you, she warned you. You chose not to listen. That's not a mistake, it's a conscious decision. OP's reply. She never told me she'd go as far as calling CPS. If she told me that, I would have never left. I thought she was exaggerating like many teenagers do. Comment 7. Mateo is violent, controlling, and dangerous. And you're still more worried about whether CPS exaggerated than about your daughter's safety.
Comment 8.
The most terrifying thing of all is that in the end you still believe it wasn't that bad. That shows you've learned nothing. OP's reply. I understand I was wrong, but I also think the reaction was disproportionate. CPS, shelters, investigations, all for a week and a half. That also destroys families. Comment 9. Your daughter didn't abandon you. She fled, and for good reason. Comment 10. I hope Mariana never speaks to you again. Sometimes no contact is the only way to heal when the father or mother is the problem. OP's reply. I don't know if she'll ever forgive me, but if she does, I'd welcome her with open arms. I'm willing to listen to her, but what hurts me most is that she never gave me the chance to make amends.